Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, November 3rd, 2022 Planning Commission meeting. I'm going to call it to order. Luke, if you would, the roll.
Clark Gruber.
Here.
Larry Heinig.
Here.
Darrell Williams.
Here.
Michael Neese.
Here.
Amy Nichols.
Here.
Lige Haney. George Sleeper.
Here.
Janice Varney.
Here.
Tim Stegman.
Here. Next up, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Next up, we'll have approval of the meeting minutes for October 6th, the regular.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October the 6th, 2022.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the meeting minutes from October 6th. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Last meeting's minutes are approved. Next up, unfinished business, item 5, building height zoning text amendments, public hearing continuation. Kelly?
Hello, everyone. We are back tonight to talk about the height text. So over the last couple of meetings, you all have been reviewing proposed changes to the zoning regulations involving building height. Last month, we had a smaller group, and so those that were here made the decision to bring the text back when we had a more full group. And so the text in your packet is unchanged from the text that was sent last month. Story limitations in all the zoning districts have been removed in accordance with the direction from the city council. Building height would be measured in numerical feet only rather than feet and stories. We also have a revised section 1732 that gives us our methodology for measuring height based on natural grade of the site rather than finished grade. And we did eliminate the provision that would give us up to 12 inches of fill on a property. In this text, the residential building height has been reduced to 30 feet from 35 feet. That's something that was discussed quite a bit last month and something that you all should discuss again tonight before moving forward. So our public hearing is still open, as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, and we recommend taking public comment and discussing next steps.
Okay. And then just to follow up with that, we had a communication on the 24th of October, Dan Agnello, and then today we had one from Mary Hosley, or two actually from Mary Hosley, one for zoning ordinance update, and then one for coastal management grant projects. I don't think I missed any, did I? No. Okay.
I think she also had a comment on Spencer.
Could be. I have to reread it. It just came in today, so. All right. Do you want to have discussion or allow public comment to continue right now?
Public comment.
Public comments. Anybody in the audience wish to address the commission? State your name, address, you'll have 5 minutes.
Dan Agnello, 964 Everett Parkway. Before I make any comments, I'd like to say that I am speaking as a resident who lives in Trailside. I do not represent the board or any of the people in Trailside. There's a reason for that. First of all, last meeting, I'd like to correct one thing Mr. Gruber said. I mean, he's correct. He said one of the houses on Elkenberg on the northeast side is 35 feet, and the two big mega mansions are 34 feet. But because of the average, there's a berm behind it in our storm pond, okay? But, and that's 8 feet or so you got, or 8 or 10, so you got either 4 or 5 feet. And from the sidewalk or from the street, those are 39-foot houses. As you're looking at them, even though they're in the ordinance, they're consistent with the ordinance, 35 feet, and they're measured correctly. But when you see them, the perception is it's 39 feet, and they're bigger than the one across the street, which is a 3-story, 35 feet. So I just want to clarify that from the perception, what you see in there, they're a lot higher. And I'd like to recommend that you pass this ordinance as it's written on the height. We had it, when I saw the last meeting, 30 feet, I almost jumped for joy because I've been fighting forever to get that changed. And everybody I've talked to that's resident, and there's a lot of people that we talk to, they don't like these mega mansions. 35 feet is too high. It's not consistent with the neighborhoods, and it shouldn't be allowed. I mean, it's in the ordinance, but the 30 feet would be, there's not one person that I know of that would be against the 30 feet. Okay, and I don't accept the fact that it's the new normal. It just happens to be that everybody's building these big houses, but the people in the neighborhoods do not like it. It's not consistent with the character of all the neighborhoods. The houses in these neighborhoods are single and 2-story houses. Same thing in Trailside. The highest house in Trailside, 2 stories, are 26 feet. And the new duplexes are going to be 28 and 29 feet. So they're all consistent with this ordinance. And I think you should pass this ordinance the way it's written. There's some work to still be done on it. The definitions are not that clear. But other than that, I think it's good, and I think it should be passed with 30 feet height on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Drive. I actually submitted one on October 7th, so that must have been missed, and luckily I resent it. So I have taken issue with the definitions as used. I think saying natural is a mischaracterization. I suggested original because I doubt that there's anything that's natural that was there. I believe it's all been manipulated at some point in time. And I provided proposed modifications of those definitions on October 7th, and then resent it this morning when I saw that none of my recommendations had gained any value by the drafters. But in light of the representation that no changes had been made from last month, now I understand why. I did submit this morning comments. I also included one with regard to height ordinance, the definitions. I also reiterate what I believe I said last time. With Section 1732, you should not support it as recommended. Under subsection 2A, there's clarification should be provided as to whether the previous grading plan provided building heights. If it did not, then it should be given no deference. If you're going to approve a grading plan, you should approve a grading plan that meets with this current requirement, which requires heights. If it didn't have heights, then it doesn't meet the requirements and it should be redone. This has happened routinely in the Trailside PUD where the developer routinely failed to provide building heights. And any grading based on a plan without building heights should not be acceptable because it wouldn't meet the criteria being proposed. Under Section 2A, the zoning administrator should not be determining grade. As I have said, and no disrespect meant, the zoning administrator does not routinely have such qualifications for determining grade. And that should not be to the zoning administrator. If a consultant needs to be hired, so be it. But someone should not be determining grade when that is not what they're qualified to do. Under 1732.3B, is a mistake waiting to happen. As I've mentioned, how is a stake or et cetera for a benchmark not going to be disturbed during construction? Have you talked with any developers about this requirement? In construction along the riverfront, an electrical box was damaged and the city asked the DDA to pay for the replacement because the city didn't know who did it. No one fessed up to it because they didn't want to have to pay for it. And so rather than having a lawsuit, the city went begging to the DDA to pay for the replacement of the box. Things happen. Having a benchmark is just a mistake waiting to happen. And who is saying what was the grade to start with, to end with? Let's have something that's measurable, clearly enforceable, and not manipulative to inadvertent or advertent changes during development. The proposed amendments being recommended cannot be effectively executed. It's time we enact clear, defined ordinances. The definitions lack that. I do not see the proposed changes addressing that. And this is coming from the person who uncovered the mistake to begin with that resulted in this exercise. I do support the 30-foot height. I thank the staff profusely for the chart that was prepared to show the average height. I thank Commissioner Neese for requesting that. I think it's very helpful. And I have heard people say that their house is higher than 30 feet, but what we have been seeing in the last few years is that anything above 30 feet is a tower, and that is not characteristic. It doesn't meet our neighborhoods, and I would support the 30 feet height. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, commissioners, comments? What do you want to review?
Well, 35 is the current. I think one of the things that was presented to us was to make it easier on staff and taking out the number of stories. Looking at that graph, we've got 35, we've got most that are under 35, we've got a lot of 35 that are out there now. So I would think that would potentially be creating non-conforming uses that are out there. So I still don't have any problem with the 35. We're just making it easier on staff. And yes, we have had houses that are built to 35 and 30 and 25. So, I mean, it provides people the opportunity, the choice in what fits in the property.
Mr. Chairman, I guess, and we did have a rather small meeting, the last meeting. I think there were 5 of us here or whatever, but this particular issue feels like one we've had plenty of discussion on. We've been back and forth with it several times. I think, at least with the group that was here at the last meeting, we're quite happy with the 30. We're quite happy with the ordinance as it's written. I don't fully buy into the idea that we should do things to make it easy for the staff. If we have an ordinance, then we need to staff up the city to make sure that we can enforce the ordinance and communicate it well enough to developers. Our job is not to make it easy to do this stuff. Our job is to meet the desires of the people living in the neighborhoods. And I think it's been fairly strongly stated. 30 seems like a great compromise. Myself and at least one other commissioner still are in love with 2.5 stories, but I was convinced by wise people on the panel here that says we can take the story consideration out if we just go with 30 feet. And that was the compromise, and my opinion is we're ready to approve this as is and send it along to council.
I guess I still have a problem with making it shorter than we currently have now.
That was one of the issues I had last time, too, is from my vantage point on city council, one of the reasons we were doing this is to try to reduce the number of non-conforming structures that we have in the city. By reducing the height to 30 feet, we're making more non-conforming structures, which I don't think is a good idea. And I don't, based on the data that the city's provided, the average of the heights that have been built is less than 30 feet. So I don't think everyone is going to build a tower if we leave it at 35 feet. The other thing I was thinking of is, so if we wanted to keep 30 feet for some of the residential, perhaps we could make the RM1 35 feet just for the standpoint of, say, a duplex, to get just that extra space in a duplex, and that might help make, that particular duplex a little more affordable by providing more square foot for the property.
I support what Michael said. I think we need to look at the character of our neighborhoods and what our community is telling us. And the majority of the new permits came at 30 or below, and there were some outliers, but the majority of those new permits were 30 and below.
I guess the problem for me is if we say we cannot change it because it will create non-conforming properties, that seems to say that we can't change decisions that we made prior if it changes the situation for a number of houses. I mean, yes, there's going to be some non-conforming houses, because at one point we said 35 was fine. Now we're saying, no, moving forward, it's 30. So we have to have the ability to change decisions that people now have a different opinion of and voice their opinion. And again, I think it's a textbook case study of how much we've talked about this issue, how much public comment we've taken, and I'm strongly committed to the 30. I'm strongly committed to the work that we've done. I don't see how it inconveniences. We're certainly not going to tell people that are at 35 to tear 5 feet off their house. They got in. It's going to be there. But that doesn't mean that we don't change it moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, of all the nonconformities that we deal with, this 35-foot nonconformity doesn't look like a difficult one. I can't visualize it being expanded. Who's going to build it above 35? That's it, and that's the way it's going to stay. So we're not going to deal with increasing nonconformities in this case. It's just a matter of those cases being properly tracked by staff, and I don't see that being a big problem. So I don't think that creating nonconformities is an issue here. I like the idea of 30 feet. I think that solves a lot of the concerns that we've heard. And I think just in terms of good planning for the city, 30 feet is an appropriate figure. That would be where I would put my support.
I think we've heard over and over and over again about the neighborhoods and about, height issues. It seems to be the number one thing people come here and talk to us about. So from that reason, yes, I'm in support of the 30 feet. But George, to your point about making more room for a duplex, just remember that, all of those are priced by the square foot. So if you put more square foot, you're going to raise the price of that duplex. It may have more room, but it's about to get more expensive at 35 feet versus 30. So, in my opinion, I'm okay. I'm okay with the 30 feet.
Kelly, would you please put up page 28 on the screen? Yes, and scroll down just a touch. Or up, I should say. Where it says section 1732. All right. Yeah. Could staff speak to this one and how it would be implemented? If you think the language is sufficient.
I think we're comfortable with the language. This is something that we worked on with the city's attorney and with Williams and Works, and as well as discussed with Ed Morse, Mitchell and Morse, and I think we feel comfortable. I mean, is there a specific question?
No, I know there have been questions raised about how the starting height is is calculated, and just wanted to know if you have a good grasp on what's proposed and how it'll be implemented. Okay. All right, unless anybody's going to offer up amendments to the proposed draft, if you think it's ready to get enough votes to go to city council, then the first thing you'd have to do is close the public hearing and then make a motion to recommend.
So you would want the amendment before a motion? Or a
If this is,
amendment
if this
motion?
is going to be amended,
Okay,
right, if you have a language change, if we have to do some drafting, now would be the time to do that. If we're out of the draft stage, if you're happy with what's here and you're prepared to make a motion to approve, then we'd have to close the public hearing.
I think we should close the public hearing now.
I'm gonna close.
Mr. Chairman, I move we close the public hearing.
Second?
It's been moved and supported to close public hearing. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, I entertain a motion to approve or recommend to approve. Approve to, yeah, you know what I mean.
So I could make a motion to make changes to the,
Yes, you can,
okay, thank you.
but I was hoping we'd do that before we close the public hearing.
Before we close the public hearing?
Yeah. If you, talking about it in draft stage, right? But that's okay. What's done is done.
I think everyone's already discussed the two opinions here. I guess then I would want to make a motion to change the building not to exceed height.
Give me a page that you're looking at.
That would be page 28,
Page
and
20.
that's section 405, 408, and 503. From the 30 back to the original 35 feet.
Okay. Does everybody understand what Clark's proposing? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Want to give you a reason? I know you've already said it
I guess
before,
for before, it's been 35 for quite a long time. What that does is give the maximum, not the norm. I think we looked at a lot of history of what was being built. Most of it appeared to be under that. Some had that opportunity to go larger. Most went less. So we're not saying it's a minimum of 30 or a minimum of 35, just allowing what we currently allow today in a maximum, especially seeing that we're taking away the number of stories. So I just felt like we can leave it the way it is today, which is 35.
But we did not take away the number of stories. They can put as many stories as they can fit in 30.
Correct, but before we used to have 2.5, we've taken that out of the equation and just said it's 35, which it is today and has been for years.
Okay, is there a rebuttal?
Yeah, I think that the data that the staff collected, if we look at a numerical average, it was around 28.6 feet is what our neighborhoods have. And if we are to hold ourselves to goal number 2 of the master plan that says maintain the tradition and character of the neighborhoods, that's 28.6 feet, not 35.
Depending on the neighborhood
In our master plan.
and what you just consider neighborhood, how many blocks or streets or, and it's an average, so we've got some that are higher and some that are lower.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call, Luke. This is for changing the listings from 30 to 35.
Sleeper,
Yes.
Vonnie,
No.
Gruber,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Heinig, sorry,
No.
Neese,
No.
Nichols,
No.
Stegman.
Yes. It's a tie vote, so it doesn't pass. Right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Any other amendments?
Mr. Chairman, I move the Planning Commission recommend to City Council the amendments as contained in tonight's staff report.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sleeper,
No.
Vonnie,
Yes.
Gruber,
No.
Heinig,
Yes.
Williams,
No.
Neese,
Yes?
Stegman.
No. Tie vote. So that doesn't pass. So we'll have to take that one up again next month. Okay,
Is there some sort of, Mr. Chairman, if I might
Yes.
ask, is there something that we can do? Is there some information that you need from staff or something that we can provide to help with
no, I think it's a
decision-making?
matter of Lige being here,
Yeah.
Okay,
okay?
all right, thank you.
And everybody else being here as well. That'll break the tie, one way or the other. Okay. Other business, item 6. What page is that one on?
40?
40.
Okay. Yes. Do you want to put that one up too?
Page 40, in just a moment I will, yep.
Okay, item 6, 165 Veterans Boulevard, Spencer Manufacturing, Site Plan Review.
Yes. Spencer Manufacturing is at 165 Veterans Boulevard, which is in the I-196 Business Park. They've applied for site plan review for a proposed 33,000 square foot addition to the existing building and a 7,500 square foot accessory building. We've got representation tonight, and we can turn it over to the applicant when you're ready. There is not a public hearing. This is a site plan review.
Okay. Are there any questions from the commission for staff before I invite the applicant up?
Mr. Chairman, if I can make one comment,
Yes.
if you don't mind, I would just like to highlight for you all that this has been a long time coming. I know Spencer Manufacturing has been in contact with the city for what I believe to be years now, working towards an expansion at their facility out in the I-196 Business Park. This following up some other really exciting site plans that have been brought before you all in the last year regarding Revere and W.R. Grace. It's really exciting from our perspective to continue to see these local manufacturers looking at reinvesting and expanding here locally. So with that being said, just want to highlight the hard work that I know it's taken Spencer Manufacturing to even get to this point for this to come all before you.
Okay, great. Page 54, and then I'll invite the applicant to come up. And then just tell us your name and a little bit about your proposal.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Justin Longstreth with Moore and Brugink Civil Engineers. We're the company that prepared the site plans that are before you this evening. Also, there is representatives here from the applicant and also the construction manager. So if there are any questions that the Planning Commission has that I can't answer, I may invite them up. But from our perspective, this is a fairly straightforward request tonight. It is a 33,000 square foot building addition to the existing Spencer manufacturing facility. It is really just an expansion or to allow for the expansion of their current process and their current manufacturing. just increase that capacity from what they do already on site. As you can see from the site plan, there is some associated parking lot and asphalt expansions around the perimeter of the addition. And there is also on the south side of the site there, the 7,500 square foot accessory building. So if there are any specific questions, I gladly answer those. And like I said, if there are any questions that I can't answer, I may invite some help up. So.
Okay, perfect. Anybody have any questions? George?
The one thing I noticed in the engineering department review, and this is on page 48, it talks about the storm sewer calculations, and it said that the calculation was good for the 33,000 square foot addition, but that the accessory building didn't, the storm sewer calculations didn't include the accessory building. And so I was thinking maybe of adding an additional condition for that to make sure that gets captured in the plan. That was my only question I had on this. I thought it was good otherwise.
Now, page, leave the image up there, but I'm going to say for the commission here, page 47, along with staff recommendation, was there anything out of those 9 bullet points you wanted to ask?
Yes, there's a couple of items there that didn't appear to be complete. I don't think they're a major problem. One is the identification of handicap parking spaces. Is that there now on some of the current spaces?
I believe that it is. It's not very well marked on the site plan, but we can certainly have that added to the plan.
Okay. And the other thing was the calculation of green space. It's in your memo, but it's not on the site plan, and it needs to be there for a complete site plan.
Yeah, that must have been an omission on my part, and I apologize for that. I thought we had it, but we can certainly add that too.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's all I had.
Down on this
I
end?
thought the staff did a really good job of putting together the recommendation. It was my understanding, or my hope, is that these 9 points had been communicated back to Spencer. None of them look like they're showstoppers to me. If we address these 9 issues, I think we're good to go.
Were there any other issues other than these 9 that anybody caught later on? No?
I'm sorry, I did miss one that I had in my notes, and that's the number of trees that are required. Is that something that you have discussed with staff?
Yes, I think that was an item that was emailed to us.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, you stole my thunder, Larry.
The only thing you had, I'm sorry.
That's the one thing I had. But very good, very good. Okay, unless commissioners have any other questions at the moment, I'll invite you to sit back down for a second. Anybody from the audience wish to comment on this project?
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Drive. This is one other item I commented on today, and as I started out, it was unfortunate that I found that, yet again, the staff report failed to address section 140416. That seems to continually get left off the staff report since it was enacted, unanimously recommended by this body and unanimously approved by the city council last year, but continually gets omitted. I know it's in the process of being amended. That's before city council on Monday, so as of today, it's still in force. There does not appear to be any discretion, and the fact that this has been going on for a while with the company, I'm disappointed that the city staff has failed to raise this and find some way to address it, to allow things to go forward. The plans look good. The purpose is fantastic. I welcome the development in our area and the jobs it will create. but our ordinances are our ordinances, and I would like to hear how this is going to be addressed with regard to the environmental impact statement. The square footage does not seem to make it apply, but there are 6 acres of the land. Now, the construction is not on 6 acres, but it's a process, and the staff cannot cherry pick which things they will or will not address. And it really needs to start now from this body, making staff comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the audience?
Dan Agnello, 964 Everett Parkway. I have a similar comment about the EIS. The city is in the process, council, of revising that, which I do not agree with one bit, but the old one is still on the books. And Trailside, they poo-pooed it on Trailside. They said, oh, it's too late on the process. We can't do this, it's going to cost, no, actually, it's Overton. It's going to cost the consultant, a consultant another $20,000 to do an EIS. I don't understand why it's not discussed in the remarks and why an EIS was not discussed here. It's on the books. Everything should be reviewed. Just like in our ordinances, we skip a lot of items there, and we say, oh, this is a condition, this is a condition, this is a condition. We've got to, any project we do, no matter what, we've got to look at our ordinances and make sure everybody dots their I's and cross their T's, okay? This has happened with PUDs. As far as I'm concerned, they get away with too many things. They do have liberties that are allowed to do, but, it's no matter what it is, whether it's a PUD or me building a new house. If the guy's saying I got to have a 3-foot porch on the back because it's in the ordinance, I got to have a 3-foot porch on the back. And that's what happened to me. The day before I moved into my house, the city inspector came out to final inspection, and he said, you've got to have a 3-foot porch in your back because somebody could trip or something, and there was no railing or whatever it is. So I had to put in a 3-foot platform, which is fine. So everybody should be having to do the same thing. Dot your I's and cross your T's. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the audience? Would staff like to address the EIS at all?
We can do that, yes.
Okay.
And this is an item that was an oversight from the staff report, but not an oversight on the part of the staff review. We are treating this site very much in the same way that we treated the Revere site plan review just a couple of months ago. There were environmental studies conducted when the industrial park was developed, and we determined that those studies would suffice for the Revere project, and we determined the same for the Spencer project.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any reservations about EIS?
No, seeing it's handled the way we just did Revere.
Okay, very good.
No concerns.
Agree.
All right. Are there any further questions for the applicant after hearing public comments? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
It would have been fun to hear from the youngest of the engineers out there in the crowd there, but I think that would be good. I would make a motion to approve the site plan for Spencer's and to include recommendations 1 through 9 from the staff report from page 47.
Chair,
And
can you include storm sewer calculations for the accessory building?
To also add number 10, storm sewer calculations for the accessory building.
Support.
it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Luke, we'll do another roll call, please.
Vaughney,
Yes.
Gruba,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Heinig,
Yes.
Neese,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sleepa,
Yes.
Stegman.
Yes. Okay, passes. Very good, congratulations. Good luck on your project. All right. Are you on 7? What page is that? 80?
80. Then we go into the supplementary stuff, I think.
I'm glad you're ahead of me on that. Okay, item 7, comprehensive zoning ordinance update. Griffin?
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to try to provide a very brief update on the status of the comprehensive zoning ordinance update that city staff and several members of our boards and commissions and some members of the public are undertaking. As many of you know, this has been a hot topic in our community over the last several months, but it's not a new challenge. Before getting into any of the specifics, just because of this being a priority project for our organization, it was something identified on City Council's priority list this year. We are intending to try to do a quarterly update on the work to date for this project to the Planning Commission, particularly as we're still in the beginning stages before a draft is brought before you all for a lot of the work. So just a little bit of background as a friendly reminder, the City Council approved a project proposal to establish a more comprehensive, modern, and user-friendly zoning ordinance earlier this year. A grant was obtained from the MEDC to support about a little more than half the cost of this project. And it's going to be a major priority for our organization for probably the next 12 to 15 months.
Page 81, would you please?
With that being said, a steering committee was formed with members of Williams and Works team and city staff, as well as members of the Planning Commission, City Council, and two of those folks are here this evening. Larry and George have been instrumental in the work to date, and I will defer to them a little bit if they have any comments that I miss. But with that being said, we hosted a kickoff meeting in July right as the beginning of this fiscal year started to try to make sure that we are staying on schedule. As I think the chairman mentioned, we do have the intended timeline included in this packet. The materials and minutes from these steering committee meetings are going to be and have been posted to the website to date, and the topics that have been discussed include the updated proposed outline or table of contents, particularly regarding how the zoning ordinance can be organized to be user-friendly, updated zoning district chapters, and a proposed table of uses. This is just the very beginning, as you all can see from the work we have before us. But we are progressing according to the proposed timeline and anticipate that several topics will be brought for additional input from the Planning Commission throughout this process. In conclusion, with that being said, I really just want to highlight and give George kind of some special acknowledgement, because he has continued to bring up to our group the importance of identifying what items are technical in nature that our steering committee can work on addressing, what items need to be highlighted and brought to the Planning Commission for all of your specific input, and what items are probably not going to be able to be effectively addressed in this update and would be more appropriately passed forward to the next master planning review process and addressed into the future. So I've kind of been thinking about this work with those three buckets in mind, just making sure that we are yielding the advice from our professional staff and consultants involved with this, but at the same time making sure the items that need to go before boards and commissions like yourself for those value-based judgments, that those are occurring as well. So with that being said, you do have the minutes to date linked to this memo, and I'm happy to do best I can to answer any questions. Larry, George, did I miss anything that's worth sharing for this group? Otherwise, will again just thank everyone very much for their work to date on this. It is a heavy lift and a big undertaking, and are looking forward to include you all in that.
Okay, any questions? Anybody from the audience have any questions? Yes, please come up, state your name, you'll have 5 minutes.
Grace Borgfield, 302.
Wait till you get to the microphone, please.
Grace Borgfield, 302 Michigan Avenue. In the conditions and collection data, it doesn't exactly specifically say historical. It just says historical information. Does that 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, does anybody know that information?
What are you referring to?
On this.
We're not quite to that agenda item
Oh,
yet.
okay, all right, thanks.
Yep,
Wanted to
no
get
problem.
that.
We
Thanks.
will get there.
All right, thanks.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, that's cleared up.
Mary Hasley, 726 North Shore Drive. So in the various versions of the zoning ordinance that have been online, there have been indexes and things like that. I would have hoped that this process would have started with where things are really broken and resolving those, and I'm not seeing that. I do appreciate that the minutes are online. I sure wish the email notifications would be corrected so that those who have signed up would get notifications of the uploads. But it's nice to know that they're there. It appears they'll be there monthly. We'll have to monitor it. I'm assuming we can provide comments to Griffin Graham. I provided some to him. He's always very approachable, for which I thank him. And I just hope we don't have, I hope the broken things are fixed.
I think that's the intention. Okay, anybody, comments? Staff, any further comments?
Not at this time. Thank you all.
Okay, very good. All right, we'll move on to item 8, coastal management grant applications.
Thank you all again. I'm going to do the best I can to highlight a couple exciting projects that might be coming down the pipe. We're trying to balance, obviously, the workload we have in front of us right now with also making sure we're setting the stage for some of these long-term and ongoing planning processes that we've all been working on. But with that being said, the City of South Haven is preparing to seek grant funding from the Michigan Coastal Management Program. This is a grant program that's been in place in the state of Michigan for, I think next year might be 50 years, but it's been in place for quite some time and provides some additional resources to coastal communities in the state of Michigan like South Haven. Because the Planning Commission would be heavily involved in the projects that staff is exploring seeking grant funding for, I wanted to bring the proposals and some information before you all to date to get some input and feedback and do the best I can to answer any questions and concerns that may exist right now. If it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, I'll give a brief summary of both these projects. We can do them together.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Can I interrupt for just one moment? On your screens, if you're not finding the information, it's in the second tab to the left of the tab where your packet was, because it was an addendum, it was a supplement. So if you're not seeing agenda item 8,
Gotcha.
click to the tab to the left.
That's why I'm here to help.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. So the first project we are exploring is the 2023 master plan update. As many of you know, and as many of you were heavily involved in, the City of South Haven's master plan was significantly rewritten in 2018. As a requirement of state law, the master plan is to be reviewed.
Hang on 1 minute. Let's make sure and get everybody where you have to be. Janice? Okay. Larry and I are not, so,
It's the first tab on the left.
yes.
My secretary had to help me out as well.
All that. Yeah, there we
At the
go.
top on the left.
Oh, the other top.
The other, your other
Okay,
left.
gotcha.
Awesome.
Keep
Okay.
going.
So master plan was adopted in 2018. Every 5 years, master plan is to be reviewed. That's going to be 2023. As it was significantly rewritten in 2018, there's not the need to do as comprehensive of a rewrite every 5 years, but we're wanting to make sure we're still being very intentional about the review that we do. So we have been brainstorming, compiling lists of many of the significant topics that have been occurring over the last several years, topics such as coastal resiliency, housing, and topics of the such, and found an opportunity to potentially get some significant financial support to do a review in a review in 2023 with a coastal community and resilient community lens. This would build on a lot of the work that we all have been doing over the last several years, including putting some long-term planning practices in place to set ourselves up to be successful long-term as we just got through some of the damage of high water levels over the last couple years. With that being said, we would still be doing a review just because we would be doing it through the lens of a coastal community and a resilient community. We will still be looking at advancing some of the other goals and priorities that were identified in 2018. Housing is another one that I think comes to all of our minds that will of course, need to be discussed. So just some notes here about kind of where this came from and that we think it sets ourselves up to be pretty successful to get some grant funding that will allow us to have professionals help us with this review in 2023. Moving on to the second one is a shoreline protection study. I do need to start off with this one with a little bit of an apology to Amy and Larry, and I know Liji's not here. This was something that we've been working on and discussing as part of the shoreline armoring subcommittee of the Planning Commission. At the last meeting, we did talk about bringing this back to the subcommittee before bringing it to the Planning Commission as a whole. With some of the timelines that we're working on with these grants, that wasn't going to be practical. So I'm sorry to you all to kind of bring this to the group preemptively, but want to make sure we're at least considering some of these funding opportunities as these exist. But as many of you know, the high water levels over the last several years really highlighted some questions and concerns about what the city can do presently in regard to regulating approvals of shoreline armoring and shoreline protection structures. And to date, we found that we are quite limited in our ability to do that. So through our work of the shoreline subcommittee and the feedback they've given, we have explored what other communities have done and what options exist. And what we found was a study that Edgewater Resources conducted for the city of St. Joe in 2017. And as an outcome of that study provided the legal justification for the establishment of a shoreline protection zoning ordinance that established the proverbial line in the sand, if you will, to regulate construction beyond certain points, as well as advises and puts out standards for what types of shoreline protection structures can be used. So a lot of what that study both does and sets up moving forward was, at least to my understanding, very consistent with a lot of the goals of the Shoreline Protection Subcommittee and the feedback we've been getting from the Planning Commission. And it's another project that actually the 2017 report for the City of St. Joe was funded by the same grant program. So again, feeling like we would at least have a fighter's chance to get some funding to potentially make that happen. So I will try not to be long-winded any further. This evening, just looking for the Planning Commission to provide some input on these proposed projects. Ultimately, grants applications would need to be submitted. There's a couple different programs within the coastal management program. So late this month or early next month, and they do require resolutions of support from the governing body. So we really only have one more meeting this month on the 21st of November to bring kind of final resolutions before council. So that's where we have a relatively tight timeline. So any input you all can provide would be helpful. We will work to continue to advance these applications from there, and City Council will ultimately decide if we're going to move forward and actually make the applications. If awarded funding, to clarify, we likely wouldn't even be notified of the awards until it's normally late spring, early summer, and would not be able to start the work until approximately October of next year. So we're looking at fall 2023. Coincidentally, that lines up pretty well with when we're hoping to wrap up, or at least be significantly advance the work of our zoning ordinance project and trying to tee up what comes next after that. So I'll be done for now. Happy to do best I can to answer any questions.
Okay. This would be 2 motions?
Yes, I mean,
Separate them?
you're welcome to. I mean, it would be great if the Planning Commission was supportive of these projects to consider recommendations to that effect to City Council, but you all obviously aren't inclined to do so. I mean, at a minimum, would just love some input.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I reading through this, I see them as very separate and discrete projects.
Okay, so we'll stay on the topics. So we've got master plan, and then we'll call the other one
Shoreline protection.
just shoreline protection study. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that way when we're discussing them, let's just start with the master plan. Any comments about the master plan? I think that's where you were headed,
Yep.
Mike.
Well, again, I just a statement of context. We do see the world through our own lens, and process is what I do for a living. My concern is how we will ensure citizen input to the master plan, not comment afterward. Citizen input up front to the master plan. I take exception to the language that says we're going to update the master plan with a resilient coastal community lens. I think I certainly support being part of the community effort around the lakeshore and resiliency. But my guess is for the average citizen in this town, that's way down the priority list. This makeover of the master plan, I think, is going to be significant in 2023. I think we have seen a lot of energy in the community over the last year that says we need to relook at some things. So I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying that I would want to see, we were very happy, by the way, with the process that the last consulting group did to put forth that master plan. And that was a very complex, long, plenty of input from citizens. I'm not saying we have to go to that length, but I am saying that to have the confidence of the residents of the city, we need to be clear what that process to ensure the residents' input to the update and review of the current master plan is there and not there as public comments after the fact. That's my only concern. By the way, the credentials for the young man or the individual that would be leading it, second to none. They look good. My question would be, how much experience does Leah have in municipal development of municipal master plans?
Significant. They've led Grand Havens, Hollands, Ludington's, many other shoreline communities' master plans. They do work with other planning consultants as necessary. One of their specialties is actually the public engagement side. So I think that's great input, and we can see what we can do to maybe beef up the proposal to make sure there's ample opportunity for public engagement in there. But I think they have significant experience in doing this work.
I look at the benefits of somebody that has looked at cities along the lakeshore because, we have something that's a little more unique. Half our city is in the water and doesn't expand. So, and there's some uniqueness there in that We do have a demographic that is vacation. Yeah, we still need to look at other parts of it. So having people who have got a lot of focus and looking at that, it might be something that would be helpful to us.
I could see it as a benefit, Clark. I worry about it potentially being a bias. Again, our master plan also has to reflect our economic development strategy, which says we may have overinvested in tourism already, so we need to have our master plan take a look at other options. So
Right, but that's anyone, we're going to have those issues. I think we just need to go, we have an opportunity, and yeah, it doesn't care who is going to have that. They're all going to have that, no matter who it is.
And if I can, and Mike, I'm definitely hearing you. I think one of the goals of this, at least, I'll speak for me. One of my goals of looking at this is we're in 2023 looking of doing a review. I'm not saying it won't be a significant review after a really comprehensive rewrite in 2018. And I was looking to find an opportunity for the city to get some additional resources to support this effort, not to cut our cost in half per se, but instead of doing, let's say, a $15,000 or a $20,000 review, we're going to be able to do a $40,000 review with the professional assistance, the facilitated stakeholder engagement that a $40,000 review lets you do, but keeps the cost the same for the city. So I will very much admit to all of you, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I mean, of course, these things are shaped to take advantage of the funding opportunities that exist. I think in this case, it just also happened to be a quite relevant one for a lot of the conversations and work that we've been doing over the last several years.
Yes. And please, Griffin, hear me as well as the rest of the commissioners. I'm not opposed to it. I'm simply saying the devil's in the details. We can save a lot of money and end up spending a lot of planning commissioner time solving problems because we didn't plan properly.
And I think that's part of us trying to, I'm going to admit, I'm very proud of our team that we are already starting to put a scope and a plan for this over a year ahead of time.
Yes.
I know that's something that obviously we all want to strive to be able to do, and I'm happy that we're having that. So I agree with you completely, and the fact that we're starting the conversation now already about what this review could look like is only going to help us when we do finally get to that point.
And I'm saying it for two reasons. One, it's effectiveness. Again, it's part of what I do for a living. We have to make sure that there is confidence. For me, I'd like to see a contrast to the actual design of the process that this review is going to take place compared to what our former consultant did, who also, by the way, is well regarded, did the city plan for Grand Rapids, Traverse City, I believe. So, I mean, they weren't a back of the Waneds consulting firm. They were very good. So I just want the benefit of being able to see exactly how this process is going to make sure that the people that
Would
live
you
in Wards 1,
characterize
2,
this
and 3 have
as a
their chances.
significant review or more of an updated review?
I don't think we're doing a comprehensive rewrite like was done in 2018.
Yes.
I do think we are doing a review and
Yes.
updates of some specific areas based on what we've learned since that
Right.
since that plan was put in place.
That's what I
I
understand.
will also say, Mr. Chairman, that's part of the goal of having, and again, I recognize some may not like the term lens, but having a focus and having some key areas that we will be looking at. Obviously, based on the input we get from the public, those things will be addressed as needed, but the goal is to have some guardrails on this process because we're not doing a rewrite and we're not doing a process we can afford to have it take 2 to 3 years. We're hoping to have a well thought out plan so we can effectively and efficiently do our 5-year
And
review.
that was going to be my point to you, Mike. Having worked on ones prior, we've brought in and had big public comments and sifted everything down. And this one is not going to be quite like that, but we'll still have public comment.
again, Tim, my issue is when that public comment occurs and what it's used for.
Mm-hmm.
I think the public comment should be upfront to decide which of those issues in our current master plan need to be revisited, not afterwards. Not after. I don't think we have to rewrite it either. I think it's a pretty darn good master plan. But I do think it's time for the public to have a chance to have input in saying, how does this master plan fit us moving forward? What needs to be beefed up? What needs to be dropped? What needs to be added? And I'm certain that can happen with that process.
And that comment's pretty good, because what should we keep and what should we drop? Because I know from the master planning process, we tend to keep a lot of things that were never accomplished
Absolutely.
on there. But this isn't a completely comprehensive, like you said, it's going to be more focused in a couple areas.
But we have, I mean,
So you just got to know it's not comprehensive. We're going to focus on a couple areas of the master plan.
again, I don't want to overstate my position here. It is really important to keep process here. The master plan is the most important piece of work this body does. The state ordinance charges that is our primary responsibility as a planning commission, is to produce a master plan. We are also required to tie all decisions back to that master plan. It's not a document that belongs on a shelf. There should be a living document, and we need to design it that way. So the concern is, and it's happening remember 2023 is an election year in the city too. So it's going to occur at a time when people's interest in the process, I think, is going to be at a peak. We don't need to do what we did before in 2018, but we don't need to let any resident feel like their voice wasn't heard.
Okay. I think Griffin has a good approach to
Yeah.
the process. All right.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure, Larry.
I think having just gone through the high water situation and looking at this here, and I realize that this has got to be worded to aim at where the funds are. But this looks to me like we're going to do a master plan review that's driven by concerns of the coastline.
And I hope.
And it's a whole lot bigger than that. That's, in the long term, not that big an issue.
Correct.
And we need to remember that. And I appreciate that you're looking where the money is, and you've got to focus on that, at least in this initial phase of getting the proposal written.
Again, I think that's all great feedback. It might be worth, I know how busy everyone is, but in all of our free time, but take a look at Grand Haven, Holland, a couple of these other communities that, these are master plans. They're not strictly, we're going to be building from the work, or we have the opportunity to build from the work we did with Leah in 2020 and broaden it and make it fit what a master plan is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other discussion on the master plan part?
I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it.
Okay. So, we want to do a motion of support for? Yeah, I'm asked, hang on a second. So, when we go to do this, we'll do a motion of support for, how do we want to word that?
Maybe what would work would be a motion to recommend that the city council support these grant applications.
Okay.
Because ultimately, we will need a resolution of support from the governing body
Okay.
to submit a grant application, to submit these grant applications.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with that, because that still allows us rooms to debate the how.
Okay, next up is shoreline protection.
Again, I think it's a great opportunity, and I think anytime we can get grant money to help us protect our shoreline, it's a good thing.
Yeah, this was something that came before us a few years ago, and one of the things we looked at was how and what we potentially could do with regards to zoning, with regards to building along the lake shore, which was about the only thing, one of the few things we could do. Yeah, that lake is going to take us over someday, but, if we could look at maybe some potential changes, and this group definitely had some experience, especially with when they were helping St. Joe, look at what they potentially could and couldn't do, because, with some of the things we have on ordinances now in the books, people get to make their own decision on whether or not they want to put that house in a spot that none of us would, but they are totally allowed to. Well, if we could look at maybe some ways of changing ordinances, we might be able to help ourselves. So I'm all for this study and that organization.
Yeah, I agree. I think, let's not forget, we put in a lot of hours on this already.
We did.
A lot of evening meetings. Leah is a very well-respected body. They did a great job helping us through that. So we do have work that's already there in terms of the 3 suggestions. There's more than one way to go after. Matter of fact, we got in a little trouble because we acted on their advice and turned down a revetment request, and that got overturned in the council. But nonetheless, there is work to be continued by that, and this looks like a solid way to move forward.
And
So
I think that's a
appreciate it.
great point, Mike, if I can build on that of kind of remembering where you all came from with this, which is there were a lot of questions and concerns and a lot of discussion had at the subcommittee level about if we want to put, if the Planning Commission and City Council decide to put regulatory tools in place to regulate shoreline development or encourage certain types of shoreline protection, how do we make sure that's done in a legally justifiable way? And that is something that this report has been able to do for the city of St. Joe. Their zoning tools that they put in place after the fact, my understanding is they have been legally challenged and they have held up because of this type of work. So again, I will never say there aren't other options, but we were kind of tasked with looking at what is an option moving forward, and we were able to find both some subject matter experts and another community really in our own backyard who paints a pretty clear picture for us of one way to move forward.
Yeah, it looks like
Absolutely.
a pretty solid next step.
Yeah,
I
I was very impressed, at that subcommittee with Edgewater and what, just the amount of knowledge, and he did talk about St. Joe and what happened and how they've done it and how it stood up, and it was really impressive. I learned a ton in one night, and so I'm all for it. I think this is great.
I think it also addresses, of course, what we've been talking about around, our frustration with being able to render decisions here because our hands were tied. Also, many of us went through that training that was provided for us, and they laid the groundwork for this as well through that training and gave us a lot of rationale for why we need to proceed in this fashion. So I think it's timely, and I fully support it.
Okay, anybody else in the commission? Okay, now, anybody from the audience wish to speak about the master plan or the shoreline protection or both?
Yeah, it's me again, Dan Agnello, 964 Everett Parkway. I wholeheartedly agree with Mike. The citizens need to get involved in the master plan, and not just making comments at a meeting. Have a workshop with maybe Tim, because he's been through it, or whoever, plus a consultant, and plus a representation of the public, okay? We don't get involved in the thing, like Mike says, until after the fact. Then they have a meeting and they have a draft and say, okay, it's in the meeting notes, whatever it is, meeting package, and then it gets commented on, and you vote on it, and you send it to it's approved, it gets to the city council, and they approve it, and boom, it's gone. And nobody likes it, except the planning commission and the city council, okay? And this was brought up before, when the consultant, STR consultant, had all these answers to what comments from the people about STRs. And what was the number one comment that they said? You guys heard this, so did the city council. The people in South Haven, the residents, do not have confidence in the city. I'm sorry to say that, but everybody we talk to feels the same way. They are not thinking about the residents. They think about developers, they think about the tourists, which is fine, but the residents should come first. They're the people paying the taxes, they're the people that have to live here, okay? That's the general question that came out. And so Mike has nailed it right there. We need to get the people involved. Just like we're going to be invited to the meeting next week about the STR financial benefits, which is very nice of him to invite us to it, because there's a lot of input that has to be done, and there's a lot of problem with the STR system right now. We've created a monster, and it's hard to coordinate everything and make sure the ordinances are done right. Also, I forgot what else I was going to say there. About the shoreline. About 2.5 years ago, there was a Zoom meeting on the shoreline thing. I don't know if you were involved with Mike. I just got into town then about 2.5 years ago, but it was a very good meeting. I think they went through and they said, each person, what do you think should be done? And since I fish here a lot, it's like, well, here's what we should do. And there was it was very interesting because I did learn a lot of things about abatements and this kind of stuff. And that was a very good meeting, and I think you're heading in the right direction. I mean, St. Joe, I go down there and fish a lot at St. Joe, and St. Joe spent a ton of money last spring. You go down there, and from Silver Beach to Lions Park, they put all kinds of stone riprap in there. They redid part of the sidewalks and the driveways, and they did part of the beach and everything. So they spent a lot of money on it. I'm not saying we'll have to do that, but they were very proactive in it. And like you said, the lawyers said it was good and went through the courts and everything like that. But they don't need it right now because it's low water, but in 10 years we'll have high water. So, it goes up and down all the time. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
You're good, okay.
Okay. All right, very good. I entertain a motion. Let's do them separate, just so.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend to City Council that they support the grant application process for the 2023 master plan update.
Yep.
Second.
Perfect. It's been moved and supported. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. One more time, just change it to shoreline protection.
I will. Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend to City Council that they support the grant application process for the shoreline protection study.
Second.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Commission member.
Let the record show that those were unanimous votes.
They were. All right, public comment. Citizens in the audience may address the planning commission regarding items not on the agenda. Does anybody in the audience wish to address the planning commission? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 10, staff comments.
I have just a couple tonight, thanks. I am pleased to announce that our fire pit subcommittee has selected a meeting date, December 1st at 5:30 before the regular planning commission meeting. So we'll be talking about permanent outdoor fire pits, fireplaces, barbecues. I have also been asked by the city manager to let you all know that the city council is planning a workshop coming up regarding food trucks, and I anticipate that you all will receive an official invite to be present at that workshop.
November 14th,
November 14th,
7 p.m. in here,
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Is that just for attendance or to be a part of the workshop?
It's my understanding that there will be an opportunity for planning commissioners to offer input, but that it will not be considered a joint workshop.
Okay. And if a quorum of us show up?
It's fine.
It's fine.
public.
Okay.
Public meeting.
Okay, any other staff comments? No? Okay, where'd we start last time? I forget.
There was only 5 of us last time, so
Yeah.
we did it all together.
We'll start with Amy.
All right. Couple things. Do not forget to vote next Tuesday if you haven't already, just saying. Number 2, I just would kind of like to remind the public that if you email me a lot on the day of a planning commission meeting, there's a pretty good chance I'm not going to get to read it because there are many of us on here that work all day. And literally, I know Daryl just ran in from one meeting to the next, and I know you haven't looked at your email at all.
No.
It's very, I know that staff has worked really hard to make sure those packets are out there because of, the complaints from the public, and I think that it's a two-way street. And another suggestion, please put them all together in one. I can't go through 20 separate emails in any kind of time. If you had one big email, I could at least get the gist of what you're talking about before this meeting. But right now, I can't even get to them. They're just in there floating around. So please be helpful and make our lives just a little bit simpler. Thanks.
Daryl?
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for understanding in my absence on the last meeting due to COVID issues. I certainly did not want to come and spread my happiness with you all. But I concur. Working not an 8-hour day, but probably 12-hour days, leaving one meeting after another, it is very difficult when we're getting so many emails that are split, especially on the day of the meeting. It's very challenging. So if we can sort of figure out a way to have a cutoff, if that's possible, that on the day of the meeting, we won't be getting inundated with a lot of emails. I tried to get the gist of some of it, but some of it just fell to the ground and I wasn't able to get it. So. But thank you so much for all of the work that you do and trying to get us all together and from point A to point B. But it has been a very challenge with so many of the emails received on day of.
Nope. We did a lot of work on food trucks. We gave it to city council. It looks like they've been doing some work, and they are now doing their own workshop. I'm hoping they get this over the finish line and don't do that kind of work and send it back to us. So hopefully they can get that done. And to help dispel an understanding, when I hear comments like no one or everyone, I am a resident and I have confidence in the city. So there's one.
Well, I can assure you we're all residents, right?
I'm not.
All right, Larry?
We had better all be residents, or we've got problems. I apologize for my absence last month, but sometimes things do come up. In my case, it's getting double booked every now and then. So I have to make decisions, so apologize for that. Comments, I'll comment on comments. When we did the last master plan, we had many hours of meetings early in the process.
Absolutely.
I'm disappointed that people don't remember that we had those meetings, but apparently they don't. But I realize also that a lot of people showed up after most of the work was done and were disappointed, and I can understand why they would be. But the opportunities were there, and they will be again. We will make sure of that. We did, I think, some good work here tonight. Disappointed to see it was put off for another month, but maybe we can get a full attendance soon and dispose of that one. So thanks for everyone that is here tonight and participating.
I just want to congratulate Spencer's for their expansion. It's pretty exciting for our city. And the way the site plan was presented to us, I want to thank staff. It was very comprehensive and very well done. But mostly I wanted to congratulate the manufacturing company.
I agree that I think we did some good work tonight. I do want to talk a little bit about the height thing. And it's not that I don't want to see neighborhoods be kept how people in the neighborhood want the neighborhoods to be. But I've struggled with this, and I've walked around my neighborhood anyway, and I've looked at some of the properties that are over 30 feet. And to me, that is, those properties are in line with the neighborhood. That's how they're done. So I don't necessarily agree that a 35-foot high building is out of character with the neighborhood. It depends on the neighborhood. So I'm going to do some more looking around the neighborhoods in town and see if I can come up with some other thoughts on that. But I do definitely see the points of the other commissioners in this area. So that's it.
Mike?
Yep, very quickly, I'm so pleased for Spencer. It's a double win for us. It does address our economic development plans in terms of we are actually going to produce a number of new jobs that will pay a living wage with benefits. We dearly need that in this city. It's wonderful. And the second thing, I wish Grant was still here. I happen to consult with Spartan Manufacturing, which makes their chassis, and makes chassis for almost all of public safety equipment in the nation. And to hear their CEO sing the praises of Spencer Manufacturing is just fills me with pride. And I guarantee you, this isn't their last edition. They are highly coveted in that field. They build wonderful trucks. And I'm glad we made it a little easier for them to continue to do that tonight.
Okay, thank
And
you.
thanks, staff.
My
Get some sleep.
comments.
Yeah, can I have
Yeah,
one more
go
thing?
ahead.
Kelly, I want to thank Kelly for not sharing the acronym for our fire pit group. She will understand.
What was that?
Can someone spell it anyway?
So we'll continue
We
with
had fun with
a couple lighter comments. Clark, do you remember, was it Mr. Smith, who was the high school government teacher?
And Mrs. Smith,
Mrs. Smith, the math teacher?
They were wonderful.
Do you remember his bulletin board, what it had written up above? It stayed there forever.
Well, we were there at different times.
Right.
But I do not
But I'm
remember.
sure it was there when you were there, too. Ours is a democracy calling for citizen participation. Do you remember him always going around saying that?
I think I do. I'm not sure if I had him as a teacher, but
Oh, all right.
I had her, trust me. Oof.
Yeah, so I always remember that once in a while. So my last one, and this one's for you, Dan. Every day, every time I sign my name, so this happens every day, I cross my T and dot my I, first and second thing I do.
Like that.
Literally. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to adjourn. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
Good job, gang.